So far, I've spent a fair bit of time playing the demo for Nioh 3. So much time that I beat it not once, but twice. And after doing that, I have quite a few thoughts on the game. So, in today's video, I'm going to go over the good, i.e. things I like, things I think the game does well, things I'd like to see more of. The bad, things I don't like, things I think the game does poorly, and the ugly. Stuff that doesn't really matter, but it just kinda bothers me. And then I'll wrap everything up with a few closing thoughts along with my personal plans in terms of Nioh 3. And so without further ado, let's get into things, starting with the good because there is a lot to like here. If I had to pick one thing about Nioh that really stands out that would cause me to recommend it to someone else, it's going to be the combat. Because this is not Dark Souls. There is no slow, methodical dance with enemies. And at first, I often tried to wait for dangerous enemies to attack me so I could dodge past them or block and then counter. But quite quickly, I realized this was a mistake, because in the time it took me to wait for an enemy to attack, and then of course inevitably miss my block or dodge timing because I'm kind of bad at these games, I could have just been attacking and killed the enemy, and then moved on to the next enemy and probably killed them too. Now, I haven't played prior Nioh games. I did play a tiny bit of Nioh 1, but it wasn't clicking with me, so I put it down and never went back. So one of my main comparison points in terms of other games is First Berserker Kazan. That game also felt a little slow and clunky when I started, but once I got the combat, once I started using the combos and everything clicked, it felt incredible. Nioh 3 is very much the same way. On my first playthrough, I was actively swapping between the ninja and the samurai styles, because yes, in this game, you don't just play as one character, you play as two characters. Okay, kind of sort of. Technically you're the same person, but you transform between a ninja and a samurai, and they have distinct fighting styles. Samurai is a lot closer to your traditional Souls-like. Or maybe it's more of a Souls-like hybrid with a fighter game, which from what I've heard is more like your traditional Nioh game. You have high stance, mid stance, and low stance, with different movesets for every weapon and every stance. Ninja, on the other hand, is more like a spectacle fighter, and it's totally insane. You just go apeshit and beat enemies up and kill them, and it's super easy. Alright, more on that in a little bit, because super easy is a somewhat relative term, but in comparison to the samurai, I did find the second playthrough where I stuck to ninja far easier. Also, I found the ninja gameplay to be way more fluid. And one of the reasons that combat feels good is the game gives you so many tools. And so now is a good time to talk about all of the weapons, skills, spells, and so much more that you have available in Nioh 3. So first up, skills, weapons, and ninjutsu. Both samurai and ninja stance have their own unique skills, which are allocated through samurai points and ninja points. So for example, on the samurai side, there's high stance, deflect, which is sort of replacing mid stance because you start in mid stance anyway, so you don't need to unlock it, and low stance. And if you allocate all of these, you can then unlock flux, and if you allocate flux 1, you can unlock flux 2, and so on and so forth. In some cases, you do need to clear specific missions before you can actually unlock the skill. And a lot of the flux stuff enhances your ki pulse, which is a unique way to regain stamina that only the samurai has. On the other hand, the ninja has ninjutsu. These are special skills that consume no resources but recharge as you attack, which can be used to damage enemies, or in the case of Cicada Shell, give yourself some defenses. Now, in addition to that, both samurai stance and ninja stance have their own weapons. Some of them are overlaps, like samurai has swords, ninja also has ninja swords. The weapons visually look the same, but the ninja holds their sword backwards edgelord style, so you know it's really different. And also, each weapon has its own skill tree. You can use this to customize moveset. So a weapon will have a default charged heavy attack, but if I unlock this, I can replace that default with hollow step. Personally, I found the Tonfa to be the most fun weapon, so that is what I played with the most. However, there's more than enough variety here. You get to use one ninja and one samurai weapon at a time, and then multiple samurai martial arts and ninja ninjutsu depending on what you have unlocked. There's a whole customization system. This offers you a whole lot of control on how your character plays. In addition, you have guardian spirits. These give some passive stats. They have a transformation where you become completely invulnerable. You're essentially transforming into a guardian spirit. You get to kill enemies, do whatever you want. And they also have a unique skill, which for Enko, as an example, is the Hellfire Maul. By default, this is triggered with left bumper plus X. So you've got your two stances with different weapons. You've got martial arts, ninjutsu, guardian spirits. What else do you have? Well, there are also soul cores, which are placed in your Nioh box. And these are basically split into two different categories, or more accurately, they're the same ones, but you can place them differently. So up here you have the Yang position. These are offensive summons, which will actually summon a yokai to aid you in battle. Does a move, then disappears. And then there are talismans. These are buffs, or in some cases, like lightning shot, offensive magic. And you get to use both. The more magic stat you have, the more you can use. And also, you need to do a little bit of unlocking by killing Crucible Wraiths to get the Yang version of most of the stuff. In addition, as you're exploring, you're going to find skills. What do skills do? Well, it depends. Like with everything else, you've got your mixed skills, you've got your ninja skills, and your samurai skills. And this is, again, a custom loadout. So on my common skills, I have Panacea Cure Fast, which increases the healing from my elixir, kind of sort of think of Estus, and Supreme Parry, where if I do a successful burst break, that is holding right trigger as an enemy does a red attack, I will recover 150 life. But then on my ninja set, I have Armor Piercer, which increases the damage dealt by Final Blow and Grapple, i.e. the special damaging move that you do when an enemy is out of stamina. And so yeah, that was probably a lot. In fact, I'm pretty sure I missed a couple of the options because the game gives you so many ways to customize your build and your character. The good news is the game does not dump all of this on you at once. It doesn't overload you with tutorials, tooltips, and information. It gives you a basic tutorial for Samurai Stance first, then it gives you a basic tutorial for Ninja Stance, and then further tools like the Yokai Cores and the Summons unlock as you complete events out in the open world. So Guardian Spirit, for example, when you defeat the game's first boss, or more accurately when you get him to like 30%, that's when your transformation unlocks. Your Guardian Spirit's like, hey, transform into me, kill this dude. Later, as you explore and find a lesser crucible, that's when you unlock their skill. So because these things are unlocked through natural gameplay, the game does a very good job of introducing them without it feeling overwhelming, and also giving you ample time to try out your new skills before introducing the next one. But here's the thing, all of that is not where the buildcraft ends. Because that's right, Nioh is a loot game, similar to Path of Exile or Diablo. So here's my current equipment set. And as you can see, there are stats galore, and yeah, some of them are straightforwards, others maybe not so much. The good news is you can use the help menu to understand a little bit more about how they work, such as how the bullseye bonus is actually increased damage dealt to weak points, or how the stealth bonus makes it harder for enemies to notice you when you're wielding a ranged weapon. Later on, as you explore areas like the Crucible, you get special Crucible weapons. These make gameplay much more risky because you'll actually lose max health when enemies hit you. Don't worry, you get it back by hitting enemies, in exchange for getting special Crucible skills like this Devastation for the Tonfas. So basically what you've got to do is sort through all of your loot, look for stats that are actually useful for your build, and then once you find something you like, stick to it. This White Bone Spirit Tonfa has max familiarity, which means its power is actually significantly higher because I've used the weapon a lot. If I wanted one of these Tonfas, which have better base stats because they're higher level, to be equivalent, I'm going to need to use them for a while. And honestly, this White Bone Spirit Tonfa that's got the attack bonus skill and the water imbue for a little extra damage, it's a pretty sweet weapon. I might actually want to swap for that. In addition, I've got some talons, I've got some ninja axes, a split staff, an uchigatana, think sword, all sorts of weapon options. Then I hit my right trigger and I transform into a samurai, and oh look, more weapon options. Now I've got spears, I've got giant axes, switchglaive, that sounds really fun, have not actually used one yet. And so yeah, if you're switching actively between samurai and ninja form, you get twice the weapons to learn. For the most part, I've been actually sticking to ninja form because I found when I was switching between them, I got confused a lot and I was just constantly mashing my buttons, whereas now I have simple combos that I can learn. Does this make me bad at the game? Probably, but I've had pretty good success so far, so hey, it ain't stupid if it works. And similar to weapons, you've also got armor with different stats. So for example here, these boots do have slightly higher armor rating, but I really like the faster movement on 50% ki or less, because when my ki gets low, I want to disengage from enemies, so I've been keeping them despite the fact they're a level 7 item and I probably should have better at this point. If you like your looter games and diving in and looking at all the numbers and crunching the stats and grinding out a perfect build, because there's also set bonuses and stuff, you can grind out the full Pride of the Crimson Army set to get a unique set bonus. And if you like doing stuff like that, then this is absolutely the game for you. But also, in addition to all this, Nioh is very much a Souls-like, so you're going to have some difficult boss fights. Most bosses hit hard and have considerable health, but this is where combat shines, because I would describe Nioh's combat as rocket tag, which is to say, yes, the bosses have a fair bit of health and they can probably 3-shot me. But I also hit them hard, and if I combo things correctly, I will be chunking their health bars. So, that makes it feel a little more fair. And I especially want to talk about my second playthrough, because when it comes to the bosses, the game does a really good job of letting you select your own tools to deal with them. A good example of this, there are yokai zones. This is essentially a superpowered area that a yokai creates, and one of the ways to deal with that is the ki pulse in samurai form. But on my second playthrough of the demo, I was sticking to ninja form. I was going to just be a ninja, so I couldn't just ki pulse to dispel them. The thing is, as a ninja, I was still able to deal with the enemies. That could mean moving out and attacking with a ranged ninjutsu. That could mean getting behind them and just bonking them with a tonfa, because it hits ridiculously hard. Either way, most of the bosses only took me a couple of attempts to get down on my ninja playthrough, including ones that I had not fought before when I was playing a samurai. I just needed to learn when I had to dodge, when I could be aggressive, and which red attacks were actually worth running away from versus which ones were easy to burst counter. Spoiler alert, most of them are pretty easy and well worth to burst counter because that hits pretty darn hard. And while you're doing all this, make sure to wear down the boss's stamina bar for that sweet, sweet stagger damage. Next up, I'm going to be talking about the bad, the things I didn't like, and the things that I don't think the game did that well. Before that though, quick reminder that if you're enjoying, to get subscribed, and if you want to see more good, bad, and ugly for other games, let me know down below what games you want to see. Alright, so the first thing I didn't like is the fact that Nioh 3 is an open world. I think the idea is they're copying off of the Elden Ring formula, where by presenting an open world, you can go wherever you want and kind of make your own difficulty. And in theory, that's cool. But in practice, the open world started to feel very repetitive almost immediately, because it's just a map scattered with points of interest, like enemy camps and crucibles, and various friendly yokai. The thing is, the first time I went into an enemy camp and I stealthed around ganking dudes, it was fun, but then the second time it felt just like the first, and by the third I was bored. There just isn't enough variation between all the different events. And yes, you can get ninja and samurai points, you can get loot, you can get exclusive skills. The rewards are generally good for exploring the world, but you're just doing the same thing over and over again. All it's missing is the towers, and this could be a Ubisoft game, except a Ubisoft game would never have combat that feels this good. And so yeah, I would have much preferred a well-crafted world, even if it was linear without all the filler, or at the very least, if it was going to be an open world, I would have much preferred if the events felt vastly different from each other, and given the demo is only a small portion of the game, I really don't want to come across what is effectively the same event multiple times. Next up, while I did enjoy the bosses, I do have one complaint, and this primarily showed up on the first boss, Yamagata, which is that some attacks just have insane tracking, especially grabs. This means the timing on your dodge often matters more than the position, and it can look like a boss is going to miss or charge past you, only for their weapon to magically lock on and impale you at the last second. Later bosses didn't have as many problems with their tracking, but sometimes random enemies did. Overall, it's not the worst thing in the world, but I would certainly love a patch that makes it feel at least a little bit more consistent, where if I'm in the path of an enemy's weapon, I should get hit. If the enemy's weapon is nowhere near me, I probably shouldn't. And then, last but not least, many of the skills, especially in samurai form, feel very bad at the start. An example of this is both block and ki pulse. In comparison to dodging around as a ninja and disengaging with the mist skill, it felt so bad to be a samurai. Now, block did feel better after I unlocked deflect, which is very fun. Deflect isn't quite the same as First Berserker Kazan or Sekiro or any really parry-heavy game, but it does still feel good, and it is still an effective tool against enemies. Fun fact, you can deflect with tonfas as a ninja as well. Ki Pulse felt much better after I got Flux, and since skill points fix this, again, it's not too big of a deal. But I want to bring it up because I could very much see someone falling down kind of a rabbit hole of bad, where they start to use a lot of these skills. The skills feel bad. Because the skill feels bad, they never invest into the skill points that makes it feel good, and the whole game ends up feeling like a slog. Invest in your skills. It might feel bad from the start, but it will pay off later. So yeah, that's it for the bad. As you can probably tell, most of my experiences with Nioh 3 were positive. And so that leaves the ugly, the things that don't really matter that much, but they just bugged me. The first of which was the story. It seems to boil down to go kill the evil things, and your brother, cousin, whoever guy from the beginning was really jealous that you were going to be Shogun, so he's now the bad guy. And also the yokai are bad, so you have to kill them, and Tokugawa is good, so you have to help him, and I stopped paying attention. I don't exactly play games like this for the story. I tend to play them for the combat. But some of these games, like Elden Ring, like Lies of P, do have a story, and having that story makes the game feel more meaningful. Even if in the case of something like Elden Ring, you have to watch an entire series of videos to understand the story after you beat the game. So that felt notably missing. Also, sometimes when I was doing quests or fighting enemies, they would just bug out weirdly. In this case, I was following a Scampus. It's a little round cat yokai that rolls away from you when you first encounter it, and you have to follow it, and then when it stops rolling away from you, pet it. Simple enough. Except this one got stuck, tried to jump up a cliff, failed to jump up a cliff, I couldn't interact with it, and then it just despawned and spawned in the correct location at the cliff top. Which ultimately wasn't game breaking, and the same thing happened with a few enemies. One time I was trying to fight a dude, I wasn't recording so I don't have footage for that, but instead of him walking around a rock, he tried to jump over it and just got stuck for like a minute, and I watched him struggle and laughed at him. None of these things were particularly game breaking, they're just a little immersion breaking. Something else that isn't a big deal for me, but I could see turning people off of the game, the weapons do not feel particularly balanced. When I was playing with some of the samurai weapons, especially the spear, it felt super weak. If you want Nioh 3 to feel incredibly difficult, play the samurai spear. Or maybe I was just using it wrong and Nioh pros will correct me down in the comments. When I played the ninja tonfas, I destroyed everything. I felt super powerful, which is why on my second playthrough of the demo, I basically just stuck to ninja tonfas. And this also means the game did not feel like the typical Souls experience. First playthrough, when I was swapping between ninja and samurai, when I was using primarily the sword with dual blades, it did feel very Souls-like. It took a while to kill tougher foes. If I messed up, stuff killed me. If I tried the spear, the axe, or the odachi, lots of stuff killed me. I spent so much stamina that I felt like I was constantly out of stamina. But then, when I swapped to the tonfas, I'm killing the stuff. I'm just running up to enemies and bonking them with charged heavies. I'm bullying enemies. I'm melting their stamina bars. The backstab damage on those things is insane. And by comparison, the game felt like it was on easy mode. If you're struggling with the default experience and you want the game to be easier, there are a lot of tools to make it easier. I think that's a good thing. On the other hand, because the game doesn't exactly tell you tonfas are easy mode and this other weapon's hard mode, I do think people's experiences are going to be inconsistent as a result. Then last up, a really small pet peeve. The game itself looks kinda uninspired. Like, I'm not the biggest graphics guy. Usually, I don't care if a game is photorealistic or it looks like it was just straight out of 2017. But what I do care is that the game has a distinct sense of style. For example, the first Berserker Kazan, I really liked the look of that game. It wasn't super high fidelity, but it was very anime, and there haven't been that many anime Souls-likes. Also, it looked real berserk, and I like when a game looks real berserk. I also loved the beautiful landscapes of Elden Ring, or Krat's ruined Belle Epoque from Lies of P. In comparison to all of these games, Nioh just feels like generic ruined dark fantasy, and I think the game's storytelling suffers for it. Again, story is very much not a strong point, so it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it does bug me at least a little bit. And so yeah, that's the good, the bad, and the ugly after I played through the Nioh 3 demo twice. Obviously, I had a pretty good time with it, otherwise I wouldn't have played through it twice. But am I going to go out, buy the game, and play it day one? No. I'm going to wait because I think this is the sort of game that could really benefit from a couple patches to clean up some of the rough things like the enemy tracking, the random bugs, stuff that ultimately it isn't the end of the world if it's not fixed, but is immersion breaking and does lessen the experience. Also, I've got quite a few other games to play right now. I've been going through my backlog and I've been enjoying that. So part of this is a me thing and part of this is I think this game's going to be better later thing. That said, if you've watched this video and you're like, oh man, I'm just super pumped to play Nioh 3, please don't let me stop you, because I do think if you've watched this video, and especially if you played the demo and had a good time, you're probably in for a good time. I think the game has really strong fundamentals that are apparent even in the early game. And one thing I'm very much looking forward to is putting together all the set bonuses and all the skills and all the special movesets and customizing all of that to play the game the way I want to when I do get around to Nioh 3. With that said, what about you? What are your thoughts on the game, and are you going to be picking it up on day one? Let me know down in the comments below. If you're looking for something else to watch after this, maybe check out some of my thoughts on the first Berserker Kazan. The TLDR, combat is excellent, bosses are also excellent, story was meh there as well, and world/level design not so good either. So I guess pretty darn similar to my feelings on Nioh 3 actually. Either way, my review for that will be up in the card and down below, and also you can find more of my reviews over on my Steam Curator page. Follow that, it's linked down in the description. Now, I'm going to get going, so thank you very much for watching to the end. I'm glad you've enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.